I'll text Jennifer and try to get her to give you a ride. I mean, I don't care. You can just ask her and just tell her. I'll just text her. All right. I'll see you and cut the pump on too. All right. Thanks. What's that? Yeah, there's 3 in the boat shed. All right. Thanks. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Moments. Monday adaptive management.
Looks like we may have to duck.
Hey, Marshall's gonna come and do some more work across the river, and he's fine to take the boat, but there's not a gate opener. And okay, and also there's 3 5-gallon jugs of diesel that are in the boathouse. If you can just give those to Marshall, I don't think I locked the boathouse, so but they're inside. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Bye.
This is so cool. How deep do you think the water is here?
I'm gonna just guess at probably 12. It's high tide right now, but I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of a range between 12 and 15 on high tide. At least towards
no gauge on this.
Wow.
I wasn't thinking it was this.
For a while, it's navigable.
when they logged all this originally, they would leave these hollow trees, obviously, that have lasted for many, many years, but and they provide a lot of habitat for different species, but the older solid trees were all taken out.
So a lot of these trees are just like 20 years old?
No, I'd say that they're probably more in the 60 to 70 year class.
Oh, okay.
Some of these larger cypress that look solid were probably saplings when they cut it.
Oh, I thought I saw that move. I thought it was a gator. That's not.
Now, is it illegal for the average riverboater to come back here?
No, we don't. That's one of the challenges for our refuge is we don't own the waters. These are state waters, so we can post boundaries on the sides, and if they cross the barrier into the refuge, then I mean, and we have. I mean, the refuge is open for public access, but if they were hunting and crossed in there, they would need a hunt brochure or permit. But as far as the creeks go and everything, it's open to the public.
As many times I've been out here, I've never noticed this is back here.
Yeah. It's a pretty long creek, and it crosses under a power line right away. So I can't remember if I made it that far back here.
Oh, no,
What
that's.
kind of nest is that?
Or is that just growth on there? Or?
It's just growth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, wow. That's humongous, that tree. that one looks like it might be. Is it hollow or? No, it's got growth on the. It
I
looks
would
like it's.
guess at that tree being in the 500 to 600 year range, but I might be wrong. It might be older.
I think it's a little older.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of research into the big ones up in North Carolina, and they're saying that some of them are 2,000.
2,000.
Wow.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's
I want to go up there and see all those trees.
there's two on the Black River that are that size.
Oh, really?
I'm dying to take people out.
Yeah.
They're on the Black River Cypress Preserve and the TMS property. But they're certainly much larger than those.
Yeah.
I got a circumference measurement of 24 feet on one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to dodge.
Duck.
It'll be the Lorax. Speak for the trees.
Yeah. That's awesome.
No idea. It's far.
This is so amazing. Oh, now there's grass there. Is there?
Multiflora rose.
So it's at least some kind of land, or that just automatically goes in the water.
There's
It's
just, these swamps are full of what the hydrologist, the USGS hydrologist has taught me that they call hummocks and hollows. And so you have high ground, and you got low spots, and these plants get associated with different plant communities. Do what they do best where the elevation allows it.
Wow.
Look. So peaceful.
I have a theory that some of these larger cypress trees, the Carolina parakeets would have nested in them and eaten their seeds.
Oh, really?
And the same with the ivory-billed woodpecker.
Huh.
And I think that if there's a chance that maybe there's an old skull, an old 200-year-old skull, maybe buried down, under layers of nest in these old trees.
Wow.
And so I've thought like maybe is there a way I could send like a GoPro in some of the cavities with a light
Yeah.
on it to try to see, what old nests or old bones are up
Yeah.
there.
Oh.
These
Like
cavities.
I said, we're gonna bump and go as we go through here.
Anyway, that's something I've been thinking a lot
Wait,
about.
a skull of what?
Like a Carolina parakeet
Oh.
or an ivory-billed woodpecker.
I see.
Because they were here up until maybe 150 years ago. We killed them all.
Oh, I understand.
But yeah, our extinct birds
Yeah.
nested in these great trees, and so I figure if there is still a natural, maybe a skull would be the only thing would be left.
Oh, interesting. That'd be cool.
But I figure that would be a pretty cool discovery.
Uh-huh.
We've got cameras that I have to put on a pole, send in, and look around.
Oh, a heron. I saw the heron.
I'm afraid that we might have some tree issues. I didn't bring a chainsaw. I'm not sure.
You got the satellite GPS and knows exactly where we're at.
I'm gonna
Is
try.
there a way to go around that way? Maybe. Oh.
I'm gonna try to get, if I can get the bow turned back, it's just, I got water pressure pushing it.
Ah.
They're coming through.
Oh my gosh.
We're entering the no man's land now. No man's zone.
Why is this no man's zone?
Have you been this far in it?
It's when we posted this boundary, it was so long ago that I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen any of them lately. I'm gonna kind of punch through this stuff.
Ow, 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 ow. Oh! I didn't know this was an amusement ride. Come on now.
It's only gonna get more
But it is.
confusing as you go.
That wasn't anything right there. Oh! Oh!
It's my cricket design.
Oh!
Hey,
I know somebody who's coming back on a kayak. Oh.
Everyone wants to move here for the beach, and I'm like,
Watch the fire.
Oh! Yep, there's a briars.
Maybe the end of the line.
Oh, look, yellow flowers. Right.
Wood duck.
Yeah, I don't know if we're getting through.
Get through that.
Oh! And Craig just is on through, dirty. Oh!
I think the dragon's net. I got a whole lot.
Yeah, there's a big log I think we're pulling along with us. Yeah, this.
Fires to grab too. Just, there you go.
I grab breakfast.
Oh, that.
Really hoping I could at least get to the power line right away, but see that.
And them bushes with the stickers are,
Yeah, you have
they hurt.
it's hard for me to see what's coming. Just
Right.
people, focus on doing the best they can.
You're doing great.
But
You're-
you
you're
have to
doing
protect
fine.
yourself.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Man or woman, please.
You're doing fine.
These creeks get really braided towards the end.
Ow! Ow, 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 it got me, it got me, it got me, it got me. It's,
I got it.
You might want to go down here in the middle, honey.
I'm trying to be brave. Come on now. But yeah, when they're sticking right to me,
I just want to see.
what?
What does it look like? Should I turn around here or should?
It's gonna be hard to make it through that. That looks super solid.
If we get around it, clear up.
I think so. Looks good.
And the clump of grass.
Hmm?
And then the clump of grass right there.
Tricky up here. What does it do?
Looks like it goes around and then.
Difficult, but you might be able to start kind of around this little tree that's coming out. think we'll have to get around this tree a bit.
Oh!
I got briars everywhere. Don't clean out that way. Now let's raise up and play it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, it might power off the bend if we're going to be able to make it.
Right there.
I don't have any real good.
I think it's going to be thicker up there too.
Yeah.
Alright.
They're not the biggest out here, but they are magnificent.
Yeah,
There's a lot of them.
Oh my gosh.
it's a little bit easier going out. I'm not having much water behind me pushing me. The tide's still coming in and it.
So does the water reverse direction depending on the tide?
Yep. I mean, this being a dead end creek system that goes into Island Green, it doesn't have an outlet where it goes. Some creeks have inlets and outlets so the water can come up and go down. Which way we come on that side? I was looking at this creek on Google Earth. There's a power line. It comes out and makes like a lake under the power line. And I thought we could get to it.
I'll be honest with you, we made it farther than I thought we could.
Yeah, that's great. Got 2 kayaks, so I can take them for
It's definitely a kayak creek. Watch your heads.
And that one gator. What's up with
The
that?
water's kind of cold for them to move around.
Passing on down.
Oh. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at that tree.
12. This is the road right here.
Hard to house right here.
Can't do my hand. Be a good spot for that.
What are those kinds of stumps?
What's that?
The stumps.
Cypress knees? Those are actually those are
cypress
They're
leaves.
called cypress knees, and they are part of the root system on cypress trees
Uh-huh.
that are still a mystery to science.
Oh.
Oh,
They
here
could
comes that
be-
log.
They could be part of a.
It's that log that we.
I see.
Yeah.
I'll kind of go to the right of it if possible. They could be part of the stabilization, root stabilization, but also could potentially be part of the plant's transpiration.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Dr. Immerman, I sent you a documentary about cypress trees. One of my pieces.
I haven't watched that yet.
It's all right. It's a long one. So
I think it's like an hour or so.
Yeah.
I actually haven't watched it yet.
I'm a believer in long form media. I was told early on in my career that everything has to be short for social media. And
Yeah.
I said, not about that.
And that's why my documentary is an hour long.
I see. Okay.
I tried to get her to break hers into 3 pieces. She wouldn't do it.
No.
Well,
Nope, I couldn't do
The
it.
cypress trees and the knees are very fascinating.
okay, I'll definitely watch that.
They bind and grow together with like tupelo roots and with other root systems of
Wow.
other trees. They exchange nutrients and information.
Oh, okay. I guess you sent me that documentary.
Ow!
Yeah,
Oh, right across the face.
But they get to-
they're like Velcro. They all hold hands under the water level and keep these really huge trees upright when the hurricanes come.
Wow.
Um,
Okay, I would definitely watch that.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Did you interview some cypress specialists?
I've interviewed some people out on the Black River. I guess you could call them experts. Chris Crowley, he owns a expedition outfitter company.
I see. Okay. Wow.
We also had, I guess they were biologists out of the Cypress Preserve.
Where's that cypress preserve?
It's in Andrews, South Carolina, so about
Oh, I see.
maybe an hour, well, yeah, an hour 15 from here.
So beautiful back
Mm-hmm.
there. Just a clump of ferns, all that stuff.
It's so cool. Oh. Ouch.
Ooh, that was a pretty good snap.
There's red berries on that right there. Just the little pops of color other than green is just so cool. Other than green and brown, I should say.
Craig, have you seen any prothonotary warblers?
I see a lot a little bit later in the spring in places like this, all the way up the Waccamaw. They use bottomland hardwood for nesting habitat. I've got some really good pictures over the years. Cause you can get in a place like this, you know, like in a kayak. I was in a boat just eating lunch when I was doing boundary posting, but they were real curious and they'll come out and land. And, you know, I actually got a picture of one on a cypress knee with a moth that it caught eating it. And it was really, I mean, I just happened to be in a good spot to see it.
probably the only bird that I have yet to like get a good shot of or good footage
Yeah.
of. So
Which
it's on
bird?
my list.
A prothonotary warbler.
Oh, okay.
They migrate up from like Brazil or
Yeah.
somewhere. It's really cool. Beautiful yellow.
Some locals call them swamp canaries, and it's kind of ironic they're called that. They're really bright yellow, but they are a canary in the sense of, you know, ecosystem, forest health, and you know, they're really, really cool birds. Watch your face.
I have to ask you, the Black Panther, the myth or
Complete myth.
complete myth? Well, not Puma, but Panthera.
Well, the black part's the myth. Whether we have mountain lions or eastern cougars or Florida panthers or anything like that moving in the area, I would say that lots of wildlife are changing their range habitats, and so, but I cringe every time somebody says I saw a black panther, because that is.
I've been asking a lot of people, trying to collect stories. I believe that
There went a prothonotary right there.
I saw it.
It's on. There's two of them, but the bottom, the one down low, is the male. There it goes.
Oh, the yellow?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is so pretty.
Beautiful. That's why it's hard to get a picture of them fast.
See him?
Oh, that's. Here. You hold this and let me. And get down.
It's just on the black screen, honey.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh,
Back in there. He's real close, but he's in the shade. See him.
oh,
He's
you
in the
know I
shade.
see him.
Mars, you see this tree that's coming out the water that's got like a branch at the bottom, and then it forks? It's right beside that too below. If you look, kind of go up, the left branch, he's in between the limbs there, kind of.
see that tree. I feel like I'm looking in the right spot, but I don't see him.
You can see his head, but you have to really dissect the bushes. You see the real corky bark tupelo right here close, right? And then there's a tree behind it, about as big around your knee. And to the right, he will be in a little kind of, he's moved his head a little bit. go.
There it goes.
Oh, and you went behind the tree.
Oh yeah, I got my stuff. He's coming up into the sun.
I know.
You just took off.
I'll pull him in the lane once.
Nice.
Talk about it, and there it is.
I got a good little 4-second clear shot of him. I'll slow it down a bit. Oh, there he is again.
He dropped back down in his little safety zone.
Oh, there he is.
I had him in the lane for a second. This
Yeah, he
thing
took
went
off again.
pop.
You have to either be lucky or quick.
And I wasn't either.
I
Or
got-
by yourself.
I got a little clip with this killer. Nice. And so the female looks kind of more just like a little sparrow or something.
Yeah, I mean it's the same size as the male, but just you can hardly see the yellow in the head.
In my research, I was reading some of the work by John Lawson, and he talked about what we think are jaguars,
Yeah.
possibly in this area. And so I think that maybe some of those Black Panther myths, maybe because jaguars still range into Texas,
Right.
so maybe there were some jaguars that were here 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And maybe some melanistic jaguars would have been considered the Black Panther. That's my hope.
Yeah.
My hope.
Yeah.
You know? I also kind of embrace trying to keep alive some of the crazy
I know.
stories.
I promise you, I spend half my free time, which is usually at 10, 11 o'clock at night, trying to answer people because, you know.
There's a lot of
The reality
people that,
is there's a lot of deer cameras out and nobody's getting pictures and nothing's getting hit on the highway. So,
and if they were here, that would catch them,
Right.
for sure.
Speaking of which, you got our trail cameras out, don't you?
Yep, I can go pick those up today.
I saw a bobcat in Island Green about 6 months ago.
they're common. And, I mean, I've got a friend that is a really, really good biologist, fish and wildlife biologist, worked in Florida before he came on with Fish and Wildlife Service, worked with Florida Panthers and all that. And he was down in Charleston flats fishing with his sons, and he heard something splash in the water, and he thought it was his son fighting a fish, and he was walking around these little hammock islands, and he saw a eastern cougar or something that came out, and he said, you know, I know what I saw. He says it's somebody's pet that they let go and it's wandering around, you know. He's like, that's probably what it is, but he's like, it was a long-tailed cat, you know. I saw it very clearly in water go from one island to the next, so,
Any Bigfoot sightings here?
I wish.
I'm always
Unless it's me in a costume.
well, I was gonna make a joke about that because I came by the old gun church and looked over and saw Bigfoot standing there, but I figured later on, I figured out it was
Yeah.
Marsh.
I want to do a fake serious
He's in a costume.
Really?
I haven't seen gun church in 40 years.
Yeah. It's sad. A lot of people are kind of messing with it, going behind the fence.
Yeah.
Someone recently vandalized some graves back there.
I really wish the church would fix that up and do tours, but I mean, I think if they could generate some revenue to maintain it, they would, you know, but right now it's just.
just so amazing back here. Irises. There's irises growing. Right there.
Yep. Pop of color, huh?
Purple. Pop of purple right there. Yep. So Dr. Emmerman said that Peach Creek is in the conservation area next to me.
Okay. As part of the development, they put it in a conservation area?
Well, the no, it just they didn't put it. Well, I guess they had to make that area a conservation area because it's part of Peach Creek, right?
I don't know why they made it into a conservation area. The creek that flows into it is Peach Creek.
Mostly it's,
Um,
yeah.
Peach Creek flows parallel to the refuge for quite a ways before it enters the refuge.
Yeah. It into it quite a ways before it goes
Oh, it's
to
egret.
the conservation area.
Yeah.
Typically, what happens is they're developing the property and they're laying out every square inch of dirt that they can build on, and they try to offset impacts that they're doing by setting aside areas that probably they couldn't get permits to do anything with anyway. So they call it conservation area, and it's probably deed restricted, but it's more or less just their best attempt at trying to make people forgive the other stuff that they do to make the development happen. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Right there.
Unfortunately, nobody really keeps track of the deed restrictions. And really and truly, I mean, I don't know when it happened, but a lot of that area that borders the refuge that hadn't been developed yet, Dawn can describe it better as far as the location, but if you look real closely on the edge of the swamp, you can see where they filled, you know, it may have been uplands, but there's concrete, there's tires, there's all kinds of stuff that were dumped on the edge of the swamp to build up that area for the golf course or whatever was in the plans back then. So, you know, there's a lot of what I would call C and D type fill that's been put on the edge of the swamps.
What's C and D?
C and D's construction and demolition. So
I
it's,
see.
you know, somebody's got a driveway that they're going to destroy, so they bust up the concrete and they take a dump truck, somebody takes it and dumps it somewhere they want to fill in there.
Oh, I understand.
But if you look real closely, if you follow the golf course path that kind of goes from Dawn's condo along the edge of the swamp, you'll see lots of stuff that somebody brought in and dumped.
Okay.
And that's the kind of stuff that impacts the refuge more than anything. That plus, you know, you heard limpkins yesterday. You probably saw the apple snails.
Lots of them, yeah.
Those are invasive species that could cause a lot of ecological harm to tidal wetlands downstream if they ever get established. But at the same time, they provide food for the limpkins, and that's why the limpkins are there. So
Would the limpkins eat anything else?
they do feed on other things, but I suppose that the prolific nature of that invasive species is what makes them dial in on a modified wetland system like that particular area.
It's shocking to see how many thousands of them. I mean, in one little area we were walking around,
Yeah.
everywhere.
You've been to Island Green and seen all that? Yeah.
Yeah, we went in, I mean, in 50 yards, and there were just
Yeah.
carpeted
Yeah.
with these huge shells. I've never seen
Yeah.
that before.
Well, during one of the hurricanes, and I don't remember which one, but they were first discovered in a drainage that was coming into the Waccamaw. And so South Carolina DNR and some other folks were very aggressive in trying to treat it. And they thought they had contained it. And they had narrowed it down to one pond and one ditch, and they were trying to basically eradicate it. And I wasn't following the program that closely. It was something outside of our scope, but I later was called by a kayaker a couple years ago before I met Don, and he was up here putting in at Enterprise Landing, and he called me and was like, man, I see the egg masses on the cypress trees on the Intercoastal Waterway. And I said I was worried that they are still around. And then when I went to Island Green and walked around that area and saw them, I was like, they didn't get rid of them like they thought they did. And DNR more or less told me after the fact, because I called them to see if there was something we could do, and they were like, they're probably already in the watershed, and there's nothing we can do, and so.
How long ago did they first show up here?
The first time I learned about them, I would say it was probably around 2012 or somewhere around that time frame.
Crazy, not that long ago.
But I think there was one little residential subdivision where somebody dumped them out, and they got started.
I'll do some research into them, and I think I want to include something about them in an upcoming piece, just to
Yeah.
let people know.
I mean, they're bad, but they're good. I mean, they brought the limpkin
I guess
here,
we don't
and
really know yet. I mean, they could be really bad for all we know.
Yeah. Well, so on the lower end of the Waccamaw, there are some private landowners that are working really hard to reestablish rice. And from what I've read about them, if they get into rice fields, they can have a serious ecological impact on rice farming and all that. So, I'm a believer what's supposed to be here should be, and what's not shouldn't be. But, whether we can control the spread or whatever, I don't know really enough about it.
Yeah. I feel like with a snail, it's almost impossible to control that,
Yeah.
I'm sure they populate pretty quickly.
that's why we need more limpkins to take care of the snail.
Well, that would probably be the way. The way to control them would be the limpkins, because that's the thing. Out of all the hundreds of shells we picked up or looked at, investigated, they were all empty. So
Yeah.
the limpkins are doing something. So yeah, maybe there'd be a program to try to breed limpkins or bring more of them to balance it out. Interested
Island
in
Green
the story and exploring.
Yeah, the Island Green Limpkin Refuge. And just let our limpkins live in Island Green, and they're breeding themselves. So, I mean,
The challenge in all of this, and I'm going to be as blunt and honest as I can be, when you wind up with one wildlife species or an endangered species, or you're hanging everything on that species, you're not doing any favors to that particular species. If you're using a red-cockaded woodpecker, or a black bear, or whatever it is, the best thing for a lot of these species is more habitat, more openness to manage for them, and so I mean I've been accused for years with the whole refuge that we're creating an environment which is frogs against humanity, and I didn't come up with that. That was a county council person that said that to me one time, but it's not frogs against humanity. It's really humanity depends on those frogs, and you got to develop the relationship and the understanding. And you can't, when you pit these wildlife species like the limpkin, if the limpkin was so seriously threatened or endangered that we could come in and stop the development, well, what's going to happen is the limpkins are going to lose eventually, because everybody's going to be like, all I need to do is dump something in that pond and kill all the snails, and then there won't be any limpkins, and so, it takes communities. We would have never protected Sandy Island without the community on Sandy Island being in favor of it. And so it takes community buy-in, and unfortunately when the trees are falling and the plans are laid and the developments are underway, it is next to impossible to put the brakes on it. And I'm not a defeatist, or I don't give up, but I'm just trying to be. If I fought every battle against something along the edge of the refuge, I wouldn't have time to do what I want to do and need to do, which is find quality habitat and buy it before somebody develops it. And, had I known a long time ago that golf course was going to be repurposed and changed, I would probably try to find a way to do something 15 years ago. Okay. I asked Jennifer. She's got the only clicker. So, did you not see her? Okay. I'll text her and just say that you're there. 'Cause she was probably waiting on you. I didn't tell you.
There's a spider. It's going
I
across.
picked up a few going through there.
I got both the clickers.
Yeah, well, it built a web real quick.
Well, one of them might work if it's two. The one that I left didn't work.
As long as it ain't on me, I like spiders. Don't do that. Butthead.
Invasive spider.
All right. Well, the number one
that
open
cloud
side
spider?
that works.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah,
You got to kind of walk out
I wouldn't want
like
one of
to
those
the
on
edge
me.
of that boat shed.
As if the spiders and clowns weren't scary enough by themselves. You breed.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, I did that,
Like that.
and now I don't see the spider. I like spiders.
I'm gonna need to arrange. I'm doing a lot of photography nature classes with the village group this summer.
Okay.
They need a lot of help, and I've offered a lot of time, and they're giving it to me.
Yeah.
I definitely want to arrange some visits to the refuge.
Yeah.
I met with Ray and Queen last night. We'll be setting up we're gonna do at least once a month, like a photography walk, 2-hour walk with the kids.
Okay. Cool. So, Ray, last year we put the teachers up that did the summer camp at Hastings Point, and Ray talked about doing that for the whole summer this year. And so we're probably going to do all of that. And I'm also doing some restoration on historic rice fields that grow rice, and so I hadn't forgotten about our conversation and doing some stuff. I am just I have no free time. I mean, I'm telling you, it is absolutely crazy right now. But I'm hoping in the next month or so, when I've got a lot of this stuff out the way, because it's real time sensitive, we can get together and maybe while we're planting the rice, and I can go over the whole project, what it looked like in the beginning, where it is now, and all that. And we're just growing it for wildlife purposes. It's not commercial harvest, but I am thinking about coordinating with some local growers to see if we can help promote the business. You know, Ray's real interested in developing like a rice cooperative, and I'm not real sure exactly what he's got in mind, but you know, it's an important part of the story that needs to be told properly. There's a lot of cultural influence in that whole
us. They kind of need to be around different people, and so it's a big goal of mine to just get as many of those kids out in the woods, close up and focusing on it. Trying to get them out to the Black River, to some of the new parks going on out there. Because I worry about a lot of our kids just with the virtual revolution going on. I worry like 20 years from now, how many people are going to be as invested and interested in these places? I don't know. You know, I feel like every kid that I meet, it's like I offer to take kids out all the time, and you know, they just, a lot of them are even afraid of it.
Right.
And I get it, a lot of them can't swim, but these are things we got to fix.
Yeah. Well, and we promote the hunting and fishing side a lot, partially because duck stamp money goes to buying a lot of this habitat. But the kids that do that, they're already kind of engaged, and they care, even if it's from a, you know, a self-serving standpoint. They care about the environment. But the kids that don't get to do that, which are more than the ones that do, you know, they just don't see, they don't have that connection.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to go out of their way to try to experience some of this stuff. But, you know, I have hope that you know, those kids will find creative ways of getting them engaged. And you know, last week when we had the Citadel cadets helping us put the wood duck boxes up, I was amazed at how environmentally engaged they were. They were juniors and seniors in college, but they weren't outdoors type. They didn't know anything. They'd never seen a wood duck before. They learned how to put up wood duck boxes. But while we were doing all this, we found 3 TVs that were in the swamp, because there's a bridge right there, kind of near. Do you know where St. Paul is? It's if you're coming down Plantersville Road and from Plantersville Store, at the crossroads, you would take a left if you were coming from 701, and it goes back to 701. But Ray told me they call that the St. Paul community. But there's a bridge right there, and so people just drive to the bridge and throw their TVs over. And so these TVs were way back in the swamp, and these cadets were like crawling through the mud and water and got soaking wet, but they pulled the TVs out, and they were just mad at the fact that anybody would throw those out in these places that seemed pristine and that they felt like were really important to protect. And here TVs, so we brought 3 out. So you know, there are ways to engage those kids.
Makes me very sad. A lot of those TVs, a lot of that litter we see see, those are
We're
natives
back.
that did
Yeah.
that. And,
See y'all later. Bye.
try to be a voice in stopping that.